Low light selfie monsters. That's exactly what the new V series smartphones from Vivo are. Hey guys, Tito James here, and in this one we're talking about the Vivo v21 5G and the v21e. You've already seen the unboxing for this by our tech bro Cholo, but we've spent more time with both these devices and I'm here to share my thoughts with you guys to see which of these two devices is right for you. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to first talk about the price. The Vivo v21e, and I'm guessing the E could stand for economical maybe, is the more affordable of the two and has an SRP of 17,999, while the v21 5G comes in at 23,999 pesos. So I know what some of you guys are thinking, both these devices are in for some serious competition in this price range, but let's see if the pros can outweigh the cons. And first up in the win column for both these v21 devices is the build quality. Vivo, no stranger to making thin and light devices, and the new v21 series phones nicely fit into the mix. Both these devices are so lightweight that my first impressions when I got them was I thought they were made out of plastic, which they partially are. But our sources from Vivo Philippines have verified that both have anti-glare glass back panels, which means that they feel quite premium in the hand without the bulk that we usually get from other devices. In terms of overall design though, I am a bit on the fence since I do appreciate the look of their recent offerings, but I wish there was a bit more distinction between their X series and their V series smartphones aside from their colorways. Speaking of which, we have the v21 in dusk blue. This is the color I would choose. It's nice, classy, and looks even better with the matte finish thanks to that anti-glare glass back. And for the v21e, we have it in diamond flare. Okay, look, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that the diamond flare is a little too extra for my taste. I would pick the Roman black since it has nice pinstripes. But again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so if you like this, that's completely your choice. And I respect that choice. Now for the display of both these devices, they're relatively the same. As a recap, the v21 5G and the v21e have a 6.44-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED panel with HDR10 support, but the biggest difference between them is the refresh rate. The v21 5G has an adaptive 90Hz panel, while the one on the v21e is capped at 60Hz. So the 5G will give you a slightly smoother, slightly more responsive experience with its screen, but on the other side of the coin, you do conserve a bit more battery life with the v21e. Either way, the viewing experience on both these devices are really good. You've heard me say this time and time again, but the deeper blacks that AMOLED panels are capable of just give colors that nice little springboard for them to pop a bit more. A bit of a con for me though is that you're only getting one speaker on either of these devices, so the audio experience can be a little thin compared to some phones in the mid-range segment that sport a dual speaker setup. It still sounds decent though, but like other devices, you'll want to keep it to a maximum of 80% to avoid distortion. So the next thing that we have to talk about with the v21 5G and the v21 SE, I hope those are the right ones, are their processing package, because that's where they differ the most. For the v21e, you're getting a Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G, and with the v21 5G, we have the MediaTek Dimensity 800U. Both of them have 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. Now in terms of benchmark results, we're seeing a very slight difference in terms of the numbers generated by our test, with the v21 5G taking a small lead over its sibling on Geekbench, with the gap widening a bit on the Slingshot Extreme benchmark on 3D Mark. In real-world use, that means that both these devices are going to be dependable and can handle day-to-day tasks with little to no issue, and you'll be able to game on both these phones as well at medium to low settings for some of the more popular titles available on the Play Store. One big selling point and a major plus for both these devices is the extended RAM feature, and it's actually the first time I'm experiencing it firsthand. If you don't know what that is, essentially you can dedicate 3 gigabytes of the phone's internal storage, given that you haven't used too much, to act as RAM. So if you're a hardcore multitasker, this feature will help you out tremendously and give you more wiggle room if you're the type who doesn't close apps. Again, a big win for both these phones. Keeping the lights on for both these devices are 4,000 milliamp hour batteries that support 33 watt fast charging. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the v21e does last a bit longer, and it shows in our battery benchmark because of the difference in the screen's refresh rate. But don't get me wrong, both of them are good enough to last an entire day on a single charge. Of course, that will all depend on how you use these devices, but the good news here is that, again, it does support, or both these phones support 33 watt fast charging, which means you can get 60% in about 30 minutes, which isn't crazy fast, but fast enough. Okay, so let's move on to the cameras, and again, if you just take a look at the spec sheet, they're basically identical. For people who love taking selfies, these two phones could be the one for you. They're equipped with a 44 megapixel front camera at an aperture of f2.0, so you can get really great snaps of yourself. But like I mentioned at the start of the video, these are low light selfie monsters. The front cameras have night mode as well, and that fill light is just remarkable. So usually when you talk about low light selfies, that's where most phones kind of falter. That's definitely not an issue with the v21e or the v21 5G. Now for the rear cameras, again, we have pretty much the same setup. You have a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel macro. Now the output from both these phones are pretty good, with decent detail and dynamic range relative to whether you're using the main or the ultra wide, of course, but you will notice that they process images slightly differently. One thing I do have to note though is that the v21 5G does have OIS on both its front camera and the main camera on the back. So while you are getting pretty good results in low light on the v21e, its brother is gonna have a bit of an advantage. Okay, so now we've come to the point of the video where I try to answer the questions, well, in this case, 2 questions. Should you consider either of the 2 v21 series smartphones, and which one of the 2 should you get? Like all smartphones, these two have their strengths and their weaknesses. I'd say if the quality of your selfies are high on your priority list and you want an extremely thin and light device, you could definitely consider either of these 2 devices. As for which one you should pick, honestly, it boils down to 3 things. Your budget, since one is more affordable than the other, if you want a 5G ready device, and if having OIS is going to be a big enough deal for you to justify the extra spend. But as I've been saying for years, and some of the other members from Team Unbox have been saying as well, this price range, the mid-range segment, is completely brutal when it comes to competition, and there's a lot of phones for you to choose from. But if the pros fit your needs and you're willing to compromise on some of the cons that I mentioned, the v21 series smartphones could be worth considering. But if you'd like to know more about the Vivo v21 5G or the v21e, I'll make sure to leave a link down below that will take you to our full review up on the website. There's also a link somewhere on screen that will house a playlist that will take you to the rest of the videos from the Tech Mob, so you can make a more informed decision on whether or not and which one should you buy, the v21 5G or the v21e. And that's pretty much it for this video. You know what to do. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll try my best to get to them as soon as I can. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and listen to our podcast on Spotify. Again, for all the latest in tech, head to unbox.ph. Anyway, again, that's it for me. I'm Tito James. Peace, God bless. See you guys next time, and stay safe.